Yeah, you can't swear.
Okay, can I get all my swears out right now?
Yeah, go ahead. You know what? I'll just start asking the questions. So,
Hey, wait, no, we have to introduce ourselves.
okay,
Introduce yourself.
let's all introduce ourselves then. Who wants to go first?
1, 2, 3, hi!
Danny, do you want to go first? Awesome.
Hi, I'm Danny. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns interchangeably. Either are fine. And I'm one of the co-writers of Superqueers.
Hi, I'm Nick. I use he, him, and they, them pronouns interchangeably. You could probably use the same or two different types of pronouns in the same sentence and I would answer. And I am one of the co-writers and sort of storyboard artist for Superqueers.
Hi, I'm Solvane. I'm the illustrator, and I'm having a good time. I use she, her pronouns.
That's great. That was great. I'm gonna, since this was my idea, and I'm pretty much the only one who knows what's going on at this point, I assume.
Yeah, that's true. You just, like, call us on video chat and we're like, hey, let's do this.
Let's get down to business.
No, copyright.
Oh, god damn it.
No swearing.
You can just cut that out. You're gonna have to cut it out anyway.
I might just keep
Mulan came out of nowhere.
We have one line.
I'll start on this because, well, Nick and I sort of came up with it at the same time, but I'll start because I know what I'm doing. We're all going to tell this story of how we got involved with the comic.
Oh, okay. Brainchild. Done.
So, Nick and I were studying together after forensics one late night, and
Speech is public speaking, like competitive public speaking, for those of you who don't.
Yeah, competitive public speaking. We were sitting together, and we were talking about, like, I don't know, we were talking about, like, what if you never had to use the bathroom or something? Like, your body was just like, you never had to eat, and you never had to...
Go back to when you told me I should remove my bladder.
That was like 10 minutes ago,
We're talking about how the best superpower would be to be able to control all of your bodily functions so well that you would, like, never have to eat or have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It was a weird conversation, and I don't know how we got on that topic, but it ended up being like, what would the perfect superhero, like, or superpower be?
Yeah, and then I was like, what if... I don't know how we got, like, transitioned from that, but that was, like, our starting point. Eventually it transitioned to, what if there were superheroes that were queer, and their power was based off of how queer they were?
Or, like, what kind of queer they were.
What kind of queer? What level of queer? What brand of queer?
What level of queer? What brand of queer?
Queer is a brand.
But no,
name brand queer.
I think I know. No, I know.
Okay.
I said that my ideal superpower would be shape-shifting because I identify as partially non-binary, so it'd be really cool to just be whatever I wanted to be that day. And then we started talking about Alex, who is...
who isn't in the comic yet. Alex, spoiler.
You're gonna meet Alex real soon, guys.
Yeah.
Like, the next page.
Well, you guys have already seen Alex.
That's
true.
That is true.
Okay, I love Alex because I can draw them as, like, whatever I want. It's my turn to kind of explain how I got involved in this.
We're not
That's true,
because something happened.
Oh.
Some other stuff happened. Basically, after I went home, I pulled up this document and started writing down, like, names and superpowers and superhero names and stuff, and I shared it to Nick, and I said something like, Nick, I shared a document with you. It's very important. You have to look at it.
And that is our current character sheet. We still use that to this day to, like, make sure that all of our character traits are correct for writing and with Solveig drawing.
That's how Nick and I got involved, and then it just sort of escalated into this, universe and consumed our lives.
Things got really real, really fast.
Yup. We decided that we wanted this to be a thing, like an actual thing that we could share, and we decided that we wanted it to be in a comic format to give the characters like the spotlight they deserve and the format they deserve. And that's where Solveig comes in, because we were looking for an artist forever.
We're both kind of really bad at writing dialogue.
And then I was walking down the school hallway, and Danny comes up behind me, and she's like, Solveig! I was like, yes, Danny. And she was like, so, I have this idea, and I want to know if you wanted in on it. And I said, what is it? Danny said, it's a comic, it's a job opportunity. It's about a bunch of gay superheroes. And I was like, well, you don't need to go any further. I'm down with that.
Oh, at our school, all we had to do was mention the term gay superhero, and everyone was on board.
So I was like, I'm gay? Yes.
I do that. I'm here. Okay, I'm a freshman in college, and the other two are still in high school. I'm the oldest. Even though I look like I'm 12. Anyway.
Lying old man.
I'm here at college, and I was sort of like promoting super queers to all of my new friends. And I found someone who, like I put official super queers on my Snapchat, and someone snapped me back saying, can I share this with all of my queer friends? And I looked, and it was my friend, like my one friend who identifies as bi, and I was like, yes.
Please do.
Yes, you can.
So yeah. I'm so happy that people are actually liking this.
You like the stuff? Yeah.
Especially like the page that we just put out. It's got to be one of my favorite pages.
I do like the birthday party scene.
I liked drawing everyone together. That was a fun time.
It was such a pure panel, and it will never be like that again.
Hey, spoilers.
That's not spoilers. That's just saying that we're gonna ruin their lives a little bit.
Honestly,
all writers ruin their characters' lives. Otherwise, it wouldn't be writing.
It would be fun.
There wouldn't be a plot.
I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point that it's not going to be a pure child story, because we have
obviously
we've already had
beatdowns,
zombies introduced.
Oh yeah, the zombies, the phobes. People are asking questions about that, like, what are they really? And that's going to get explained a lot more later. But
that's going to get explained a lot, way in depth later. I'm glad that people are asking questions. What are phobes? You're asking the right questions, my friends. Questions that we cannot answer because they are already written into the story. and it would be a spoiler alert if we told you those answers.
You'll be able to find out.
Winky
Who knows?
Who knows? So, let's answer some general questions about the story without giving away any spoilers. So, what are your guys' favorite characters so far? So far for Solveig. Nick and I know the entire story at this point.
My favorite character?
Yeah.
Choose between my children.
Okay, so I think my favorite character is Skylar.
Of course.
She reminds me a lot of myself, minus the not liking swearing. Because even though I'm not swearing right now, Nick and Danny know very well that every other word I say is some sort of swear.
We all swear way too much. I don't know how we got Skylar into the not swearing thing. It was just, what if?
It was one of those things where we realized that we had written all of the other characters having a swear word except for Skylar, and then we were like, what if Skylar just didn't swear?
Swear and
a lot of the things we wrote at first were just things we automatically agreed on, Mateo's codename is Queen. Yes. Mateo has a crush on Gabe. Yes. Just
I also love Gabe.
I do love Gabe.
Gabe
Oh,
such a good child.
my sweet summer child of Mateo is also good.
I love. Okay, so I don't think I've shown you guys these drawings, but I actually do like doing outfit drawings for Mateo because I like to imagine that he wears a lot of patterns.
You have not shown us these drawings, and I feel offended.
I didn't even know these existed.
I didn't know these existed either. Solveig, you're holding out on us.
I know, holding out on your own
that
children.
Solveig's on board with this as we are.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll just like catch myself drawing them. I'm like, wait.
My hand is out of control. It's another Mateo outfit.
Whoops. Hand slip.
My pen slipped. Holds up wardrobe.
Okay, so what's the next question?
What's the next question?
Yes.
Let me think. Because it's not
Wait,
like
no,
I
as
went out and
for Hayden.
oh yeah, you have a soft spot for Hayden. Which we should probably mention that this started off as like a joke with our friends as the characters. We started it off like I started off the document by naming all of these characters after our friends, with Nick and I in there as well.
That's very true. Hayden is heavily based off of me.
Yeah, we already had a pansexual person. You identify as panromantic, right, Solveig? Is that still what you identify as?
I'm just going pan as a general label now.
Okay.
I'm still figuring things out.
Well,
General label.
Nick's girlfriend.
Generic brand pan over here.
And Nick's girlfriend, Anne, is pan, so I put her as the pan, and so that's why Solveig was not in it.
I don't get nice
at
things.
First. So,
Do you have to play
Nick
music?
was the demi-boy, and I was the lesbian. And we just put a bunch of our friends as the other characters, and I would screw up their names a bit so that it wasn't exactly them. Then after we decided to make it a real thing, we're just like, well, we can't exactly put our friends through all of this stuff. I caught myself through all the stuff I'm putting them through, so.
So we really, we changed everything. Okay, hang on. They're playing music, and I don't want it to get caught up, and then we can copyright it. I'll be right back.
Well, I can't hear the music, so.
Oh, you can't?
Nope. I heard that, though.
Okay. As long as you guys can't hear the music, I'm not getting out of bed.
Alright. So, maybe we should talk about, like, our, brainstorming sessions and stuff.
Okay.
There's a lot of spoilers in those brainstorming sessions,
Well,
because
we
we're
can
not
always
really
just-
writing a lot linearly.
That's true. There are things that we can put in there that are kind of obvious and things that we can keep out. But, like, brainstorming sessions, like, normally I just go on the document and type up a bunch of stuff and then send screenshots to Nick, and he's either like, this is great, or not so great.
Nope.
And then
Small things to change. In the beginning, we still do this, but in the beginning it happened a lot. We do co-writing, where we'll just be like, I have this idea for a plot, blah, 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 and we'll just word vomit, and then we'll get stuck, and then we'll tap out and tap the other person in, and the other person will go, I know how to continue this, blah, 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 and then they'll word vomit, and it's a great cycle.
It
That's
is
how
a great
most of our
cycle.
plots have been written so far.
But I mean, since Solveig doesn't know as much about the plot, I mean, I assume you haven't, like, read through every single document that we shared with you.
There's so many documents.
I've read through a lot of them. I mean, obviously I know the scripts, and I look through that, because that's what I have to base things off of, obviously.
Right.
So,
But what do you think of the, like, where this is going, since you're kind of new to this whole thing? You're the newest member.
yeah, I'm kind of here for the ride, because, like, when you have it written, I don't know what's going to happen. So it's kind of like I'm watching this unfold, yet I'm the one that's, like, drawing it,
Unfolding it. You're the one unfolding the paper, and each time it unfolds, you go, oh.
And I'm like, drop it.
That's true, because you really only work with the final draft, because you work off of the final draft.
Yeah.
But all of the drafts before that, there are like 8 drafts. Where we just go through, like, the first draft is just pure word vomit, and then we just go through and actually make it, like, work with the plot.
Yeah.
So many layers of editing. What you guys get is so refined and perfect.
I feel
anytime Solvay.
Well, you're lucky you don't get to see the sketches that I start out with when I'm doing the pages. I used to show those to you. Remember the one with the tiny face?
Oh, yeah.
It was like that, but on every character. So, like, I could remember what facial expression they were supposed to have.
That is on our Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, but it was like that, but a whole page.
That's great.
We need to do more in-progress things, like...
We do.
Like, in-progress drawings and in-progress, like, writing. Like, we should post, like, in-progress conversations that we write between characters, because the conversations are so bad at first.
It's so great. I love our group. I love Super Queer.
What are some more frequently asked questions, or, like, general questions?
Well, should we address something, like, with the phobe? Like, just things that we can address right now?
Well, okay, the phobes are sort of based off of those people that are, like, so crazy that it's almost impossible to believe that they're real. So we created this idea that what if a lot of people were like that, except they were also terrifying monsters?
Alright.
You know, more terrifying
Aren't they already terrifying monsters?
More terrifying than they already are. A lot more
now
stuff
they
will be
can't
explained with the phobes, but just... Actually, Solveig, there's a fight sequence coming up soon that like, visually explains a lot more with the phobes, so I hope you have fun with that.
Ooh, I love fight scenes. I love drawing, like, punching and blood and stuff. It's my favorite. Because you know I draw a lot of gore when I'm not doing this, so...
There's also a scene coming up where Melanie uses her powers. We've been meaning to talk to you about that, Solveig.
Oh, yeah.
Melanie has fire powers.
Because she's a flaming lesbian.
Yeah!
Fire and
Flaming
strength.
sexual.
Fire and strength, because what other powers would a lesbian have?
That's very true. Unless there was, like, lumber and, like, if you could use
flannel
power.
Flannel. I'm just imagining, like, Melanie running through a room with a flannel shirt and then saying flannel power and throwing it over the faces of the phobes.
It's like chloroform flannel.
Actually, her original costume design, I'm the one who does most of the costume designs because I am a visual artist and a writer. And I know, like, Solveig is the one who brings the characters to life, but I have sketchbooks upon sketchbooks of just rough sketches of color palettes and, like, what their faces sort of, like, what their body types sort of look like. And then Solveig took my rough sketch babies and turned them into, like, made them go through puberty and turned them into full-fledged hot-ass adults.
Swear!
Children.
Hot as F adults. That's what
They are
I was about to say something awful, but I remember I can't because we're in a podcast. Because every time I hear, like, puberty, I just think of that. Yay, my balls dropped.
No, but seriously, like, my drawings were the little 12-year-old versions of the super queers, and Solveig took them and made them go through puberty and turn them into full-fledged, like, humans.
I was, like, driving the puberty freight train, and I ran them over.
That was basically,
they were, like, on their way to super queer school, and I was like, guess what, children, it's murder time.
Did you mean our plot?
Oh my god.
There's some shit coming up. Whoops, I swore.
They
There's
don't
some
know about the
stuff
murder
coming up.
yet.
Everyone dies. No, I'm just kidding.
Everyone dies.
Everyone dies.
The rest of
I too.
we have 4 seasons laid out of just describing each character's tombstone.
I'm cool with it.
I mean,
It's
we're
only-
basically
it's
just
mean.
describing
Yeah.
their personalities now. Like, I kind of feel bad for like the people who are reading it now because it's all fluffy stuff.
I know.
You have to start out with fluffy stuff, though. You can't just go in like, time for
know.
murder.
I know.
Children, it's murder time.
We're not George R.R. Martin. We can't just kill off our main character in the first chapter, okay?
I know that. Or can we?
No, Danny. Oh, that's another one of our dynamics. Danny wants to kill everyone, and I'm over here like, no, we can't kill off people.
I don't want to kill everyone. Some people, and Nick he's a stickler.
I'm a stickler for life.
He enjoys life.
So what are some other questions that people have asked? Because I know that you said that there were some questions.
Really the only thing I got about was, what are the phobes? But that was a comment on Webtoon, and it was like, oh, why are they strong? Why are they this? I'm kind of interested to see how this is going, and yeah, we didn't really explain it that well yet, but I think we're gonna use a character that's going to be coming in very soon to sort of help explain like what's going on. One of my favorite characters is coming up soon, and I'm so excited.
There's definitely one character who is more knowledgeable about phobes than the others, and there is one character who we have yet to introduce who knows nothing about phobes. So we are going to have those two interact, and that's how we're going to sort of teach the audience what phobes are, because you can't just say, hey, audience, listen.
I mean, the narration could probably do it, but that would be boring. Ooh, can we talk about Antier? Like the concept for him? Because that's probably not too hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Antier is great. We're not going to explain his name, because his name is kind of a pretty big spoiler if you know your languages. If anyone wants to try and figure that out, go ahead, but Antier is essentially the mastermind behind everything. He is the one who is sort of brainwashing everyone, he wrote through an assassination of the current world leader, because in our universe, the entire world is united, apparently. And there's one world leader for
Hive mind.
No, not
I mean, that's kind of what's going on. It's sort of like it starts in America and it's slowly branching out until Antier is the ultimate world leader.
Yeah. He's essentially what is happening in our universe is there is sort of a world government, kind of like the United Nations, except for everyone. I like universe building, in case you guys couldn't tell. So I have like all of this background information stored in my head that none of you like know about. What I think, of course, if Danny, because again they're a co-writer, so she gets a say in it. What I sort of am in my head thinking is that there's this world government that's sort of like the United Nations, except it's the entire world instead of just Europe and a few other places. Like, every country has essentially brought a representative to the world government that we haven't thought of a name of, or I haven't thought of a name for yet. And there's one person who sort of is the council person, like the sort of head honcho for the entire world government. And the head honcho for that world government was President Cinders. Little plug. Cinders, if you say it wrong enough, I guess, sounds a lot like Sanders. Any of you follow U.S. politics, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, Cinders was the... Sanders?
I love Thomas Sanders.
Yeah,
I love burning sandals.
Thomas Sanders, the Vine guy. Anyway.
He's the leader of all of the world. I
You know,
would
I'd be
love
cool with
that.
that, actually.
Thomas Sanders for president, please.
I think he would cry.
From the stress of it all, probably.
I love Thomas Sanders, but no Hufflepuff should be put in charge. As a Hufflepuff, I think I'm allowed to say that no Hufflepuff should ever be put in charge of like something important, like a quiz. We would just cry.
Cheers.
Great. Okay.
Anyway, world government. President Sanders is assassinated. It's portrayed as a lone wolf. And Untier gets put into power. He wasn't really elected. He was just sort of like, well, I guess you now.
That's the thing.
Why do you have a tiny face?
Rude.
Help?
This is Solvay now, I guess. Hello.
You can't tell, because, like, when this is done, there's gonna be no visual, but I'm holding up a doll head right now. Because this whole time, I've just been taking the paint off a doll head.
That's great.
Anyway, Sanders is assassinated, Untier is put into power, a lot like how Hitler rose to power in 1930s Germany. And Untier has essentially created all of these problems and then is creating a solution for these problems in order to gain the trust of the people.
So much
And
which
in order to gain...
will be explained soon as well.
Yeah. Yeah, all of this is going to be explained
Yeah.
more in depth, but overview is Untier is essentially a puppet master and is like pulling all the strings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just...
And he's
Yeah, he was originally... Can I say who he's based off of? If I can't, then I'll just cut it out, but... It's kind of obvious
Trump.
at this point. Trump.
he's
Right
based
after
off of
Trump
our
was
current
elected,
United
we were
States
all
president.
crying and terrified for our lives, so...
That's true. All of this started, actually, all this started before Trump was elected. All of this started over a year ago. And we were like, what if Trump got elected? That'd be really scary, wouldn't it? And then by the time we were able to finish the first issue, Trump was elected. So we all were like, oh,
Okay.
oh. So literally, we were writing these stories about how horrible it would be if Trump was elected, and then Trump was elected, and then everything happened. And it was like, well, when your dystopian, set in the future graphic novel actually happens.
Obviously not literally,
Well,
but
it's like I have no eyebrows.
basically it's sort of like if Trump's main target was the LGBT community. Like, not that it's not the target right now, but if it's not a huge target right now, but or it's not that it's not a target right now, but his main target right now is immigrants. And
Right, but you have to keep in mind we don't just cover queer issues in
No, we
Super
don't.
Queers. Okay, Super Queers was originally based off of like, what if gay but superpower?
Yeah,
Ooh.
basically Super Queers
when we
is about queers, but that's because we're queer.
That's true. We really don't have a lot of experience in other areas. Other than the fact that I have a disability and I can't speak for the other two, but we don't have a lot of minority other than the fact that we're queer.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have minority cards. So we do research.
We don't come from immigrants.
Oh,
We're all white. We all come... Well, I come from a Christian family. Nick comes from a Christian family. Solveig
Comes from a family.
comes from a family. So, we don't want to
So
tread on anyone else's toes. We want to deal with these issues, and we don't want to undermine them, but the main point we're trying to get across is we're here and we're queer. Other issues will be brought up. For example, we have characters of different religions that are going to come forward.
Racism is going to be a topic that's tread on, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're
Racism, of
definitely
course.
going to be talking about racism.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to be talking about all these topics because they exist, and we don't want to, like, undermine the fact that they do exist, but they're not our issues.
We do, however,
but
we want to do the best that we can, and in order to do that, we've been doing a lot of research. There's a Muslim character who's going to be coming in, not exactly shortly, but eventually.
She's making her way.
She's on her way.
Making her way down.
But we're going to have a Muslim character, and in order to write her character correctly, we made sure to do all of the research.
Yeah.
Mateo is originally from Mexico. He came to the United States at 4 years old, and we made sure that we looked into the culture that he would have been brought up with, the language. We looked into, or at least I did, I don't know about Danny, but we looked into how bilingual families work differently, especially if they've moved from one country to another. And there's so much research that goes into this comic, and that's why we can't exactly bang out issues. We also have to pay Solvay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have to pay Solvay.
So there's so much research that goes into this. We do not mean to offend anyone, but we're human and we're going to make mistakes. I already know that there's probably some mistakes in the writing that we haven't even put out yet. There's a lot of research that goes into this comic, and there's a lot of passion that goes into this, and I don't want anyone to miss that.
Right. And we definitely do not want to whitewash our characters or make them all Christian or whatever, because that's what normally happens.
Default Christian agnostic. Everyone.
Yeah.
Or offend anyone from lack of representation. So I mean, if someone has issues with it, they should feel free to point it out, because
that's very true.
We'll definitely listen.
Yeah. Of course.
No amount of research will make us understand what it's like to live as a different race.
Or a different religion.
Or to be discriminated against for that.
Yeah.
We have a blind character coming in, not anytime soon, but... What?
She's there.
She's there.
She's making her way downtown very slowly.
She's working on it. She's trying her best. She's
meandering, kind of.
She's trying her best. But we have a blind character coming in, and Danny and I have done extensive research on how she's going to interact with the world, how blind people actually use different language than people who can see, because they don't use very visually descriptive language. And so we're going to put all of that into our character for her, but we're not blind.
No, we're not blind. Another thing, a hard of hearing character that's going to come in very soon.
Very soon, and none of us are hard of hearing, so we have to look into the thought process behind that.
And another thing that I want to stress is that our main issue is being queer. We're not any of these, so that's why this focuses mostly on the super queers and living as queer, because there are other people who are immigrants, who are different races, who have other disabilities that would be able to tell their stories so much better than we can.
So much better.
Yeah. So we are going to have aspects in there because it's just you need representation, and we want this to be inclusive, and we want to go over certain topics, but that's not going to be our main focus.
Oh, also, if, I don't know if this isn't, something you agree with, obviously you can just edit this out, but, if people want to, reach out and share their experiences about stuff that we aren't, obviously, experiencing firsthand, how do we feel about that?
Oh, yeah. Very much. Please contact us. We
Official superqueers@gmail.com, or, any of our other websites.
Because, obviously, I'm not writing it, so really, obviously illustrating it is a big part of it, but a lot of the influence is from the script, so...
Solvay is a guide, by the way.
Right.
We love Solvay.
But, like, you also...
She has been
yeah,
so
go
lenient
Solvay.
with us.
My tablet makes me their god.
She's been so lenient with us and, like, so great.
You're so good.
Because no other artist,
sorry that
every
we're
other
broke.
artist would have been like, I'm not working for you guys anymore. Because we don't pay all the time. We're always like, hey, can you change this at the last minute? Or, you know what, I don't know what to do for this. Just go all out. And she's always
Hey, this person's body type is slightly off. Could you, like, change that in all of the panels that you've already drawn?
Oh.
Well, again, it's not like right now I need to be like making all the money because I'm supporting myself, and I love doing this. It's a great experience, so I'm cool being here for the ride.
That's awesome.
Wee!
Like drawing tablet in hand. Wee! I think that's a good representation of what's basically been going on.
Basically.
Honestly, we're all just flying at the seat of our pants at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we have so many long-term plots, and we haven't thought of a lot of short-term plots for, like, the first season, I guess.
There are a few, but they come later. Alright, well, now that we've gone over favorite character, let's back up a bit. What's your favorite character to write and or draw?
I think my favorite character, or I have two favorite characters that I like to draw. So Gabe is definitely one of them. I love Gabe. Love him. Sunshine boy. Love Gabe.
Gabe is Soleil's child.
And then I also really like drawing Mateo because I love drawing his hair.
Mateo has such good hair. Mateo basically has my hair at this point because I cut my hair recently.
I like to imagine that Mateo has super curly hair but likes to gel it so that it looks like a victory wave.
That's basically... He does. He has naturally, like, curly hair.
And so, like, the first time people see him with curly hair, they're like, who are you?
For me, personally, probably either Hayden or Skylar, because Hayden I get to write in all caps and all smushed together.
Yeah, Hayden's basically just, okay, so I'm gonna cover my mouth because it's gonna be really loud, but it's just...
That's what's going on in his head all the time.
Like, usually when I'm drawing Hayden, I'm like, okay, gotta make him wide-eyed and just...
Again, Hayden's heavily based off of me. That's what goes on in my head all the time.
Can you repeat
I
that?
really, really want to draw Hayden, like, falling down the stairs and be like... like a terrifying slip and slide.
You have to draw it from the Hayden's perspective.
You'd just be like...
It's just blurred and...
Like, you know when you're on, like, a flume ride and you're going down the giant drop? It'd be like that, but on stairs.
Anyway, Hayden is one of my favorite characters to write because his thought process is based off of my thought process. Just... all the time. It's great. But I also love writing Skylar because Skylar is also... I think we self-insert into Skylar way too much, Danny. Because...
Yeah. That's terrifying, though. Like, our brains just melded together. Created by Solvay. That's terrifying. I hate that.
Yeah.
No. That's Skylar.
But I relate a lot with Skylar because she definitely has some Aspie's traits. I think she would be one of the people who was left behind for a diagnosis.
Right.
Especially
since Skylar's parents aren't here yet. Ooh, do we want it to be a surprise?
Yes! Skylar's parents are a surprise. Anyway, Skylar definitely, because girls on the autism spectrum... Hi, everyone, I'm trans. I was raised female, and I'm on the autism spectrum, and I would have been I would not have been diagnosed had my brother not been diagnosed before me. My younger brother was diagnosed before I was, and if my mom hadn't seen my brother and then saw me and went, what's the same? Then I would not have been a lot of girls and children who are raised female who are on the autism spectrum and show autistic traits don't get diagnosed because a lot of the symptoms sort of connotated with autism are also connotated with femininity, like flapping your hands. How many times have you seen a completely neurotypical girl in the hallway go, "Oh my god!" It's just completely normal.
Mm-hmm.
But if a guy does it, like flapping their hands, they go, "No, bad. Must be strong."
Why are you flapping your hands? You cannot do that. You are a man.
No, but that's seriously what it is. And a lot of people don't get that. Or like being over emotional or being overly attached to things or people. All of those are connotated like with femininity and femininity. With femininity, and so a lot of female-raised/female aligned people on the spectrum don't get diagnosed because of that, because their symptoms are just, it's really a gender thing. So I like to think that Skylar is very much on the spectrum,
Right.
and she just was sort of shoved under the rug because no one knew. She also was homeschooled for most of her life
Because she's a little brat.
That's another thing. You guys will see that. She'll talk about her schooling life more later, but I think it's like when her and Hayden bond. But she talks about how she could never, like, she wasn't stimulated by school and she absolutely hated it there, so her parents had to homeschool her because she was failing out of the second grade because she was bored.
Basically.
Which, again, that's another autism thing. It's one of those things, like, people who are on the autism spectrum are very, like, dichotomized like that. Like, some things we are very, very good at, and then there are some things that we are very not good at.
It's like the power that, like, the focus that should be balanced equally is like, okay, so it should be social interactions, memorization, but then it's like, nope.
That's actually it.
Another one of my favorite things about Skylar is just her love for other people's relationships.
Oh, yeah, that's, yep.
Like, one of my favorite thing that I was drawing in the most recent page was her just like zooming up behind Mateo, like that. I wanted to make her like a black blur, like a demon going up behind him.
Mateo.
Hello.
But I just love how she's like, she doesn't want a relationship of her own, but
No.
she's totally,
She
she loves watching other people in relationships.
She is the personification of that one video, like, that one thing that any kid with dolls when they were younger did. It was like, now kiss!
Do you have any ideas for something to talk about? Because I'm thinking, like, after this episode, we can branch into, like, other topics, like, have people ask us questions, and then maybe talk about queer media or queer influences in different things and stuff. Like, not just keep this about super queers, but, like, branch out a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, can we talk about inspirations?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about inspirations.
Like, some of our inspirations for some of our characters?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Or, like, Solveig, you can talk about visual inspirations. And I know that a lot of your, like, inspiration comes from the script and my drawing, like, my thumbnail, but...
A lot of my
We can talk
inspirations
about-
are just
you can
me
talk-
seeing horrible things on the news and being like, hey, Nick, what if this happened to our characters?
Inspiration for characters. Oh, darn it. The person I wanted to talk about isn't actually in, like, the audience hasn't met them yet.
Want me to take over? Because I have an answer for this.
Alright.
Yeah, go.
So partially, you're right, Nick. When I was first designing the characters, or like getting, like I had that torrent that one day where I just got them all out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was originally inspired by like your color palettes. But also what I do is I would get it, but obviously no one's going to see this except for like you guys. But I like going, like when I go to hardware stores, I like taking all of like the paint swatches, right? I like taking them, all of them, and then I cut them up and I look at the colors and I make these little spreads on this line graph, like this line graph paper that I have, and I like drawing the characters, like a little sketch, and then I like putting groups of like colors that remind me of them, and then like clothing types. Like I said that the dandy like clothing style reminded me a lot of Mateo, because I imagine that he wears a lot of like really rich colors and patterns, so that's like that reminded me of him a lot. And then I know that Melanie is the flaming lesbian, but Skylar reminds me more of like flannel, like lives in flannel.
Mm-hmm.
I see that.
Lives in flannels and sweatshirts and, you know.
Yeah.
Skylar, body types. All of the body types of our people are different. And I kind of want to touch on that because it's kind of hard to see when the panels are so small and you haven't seen, like, the characters aren't really in full body panels.
I know. I want to get parts of the script and I have to make them small.
I know.
You little babies.
The little babies stuck in their little tiny boxes. Anyway, we do have different body types for different characters. Like, not everyone is conventionally attractive and thin and, like, hello, yes, we are teenage models. We're, so that we even talked, like, we're going to draw acne on our characters because they're teenagers in a futuristic world where they are very stressed.
Or, like, Nellie's giant head scar.
Yeah, that's true. Like, not all of our characters are conventionally attractive. And I think that's something that not a lot of comic books / graphic novels do. Like, all of the superheroes are super, and all of the villains are the ugly ones, but it's one of those things like I don't want
a villain who has a tragic or not a villain, a superhero that has a tragic backstory that gave them a huge scar on their face, and now they wear a mask to cover it up or whatever.
And then they take off the mask, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not that bad."
It makes you more
I have
attractive.
a tragic picked off mask.
I wear this mask
Teardrops carved into
ugly face, and then they like take it off, and it's like a little mole like, right there.
It's like a mole. Or like Melanie's character, visually, at least for me when I was drawing her, visually was based off of the Phantom from Phantom of the Opera because I like.
Except instead of a mask, it's a beanie.
Yeah, except it was one of those things like we wanted our characters to have scars. We wanted our characters to visually not look all like supermodels because, believe it or not every person in the world is a supermodel.
Right.
And I'm guilty of it. I love drawing Mateo as a pretty boy. I love it.
Okay, but that's because Mateo is a pretty boy. We're allowed to have a few pretty boys.
I want him to be a pretty boy.
Right, but we also have, Alex doesn't have, like, a person.
A set body.
A set body.
Gives me more opportunities to draw cool, different designs.
Alex as a penguin, because why not?
Basically.
We
should probably talk about the stereotypes that we're putting in this, too.
That's true. Can I quick wrap up visuals?
Yeah, you can wrap up visuals.
Okay.
And then I want to talk about, like, stuff that inspires me, and then we can move into the stereotypes. But, yeah, continue.
Yeah. Because a lot of my writing inspirations, like Ava is based off of Buck Angel, except Buck Angel is trans and Ava is not.
Who is Ava?
But, like, that's... Right.
Ooh, what is she?
Okay, Ava is coming really soon, guys. And you'll know why she's based off of Buck Angel. If you know who Buck Angel is, you'll know that whenever I'm writing Ava, at least, I immediately think of Buck Angel. And
Nick
then
doesn't write
Alex
Ava that often.
Wait, what?
Nick doesn't write Ava that often.
I don't. Okay, how about this? Whenever I read about Danny's writing Ava, I think of Buck Angel. I write Ava sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But it's one of those things like we take a lot of inspiration from the queer community for our queer characters. At least that's what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And like again, visually, not all of our characters are conventionally attractive or super skinny, or like teen Vogue models.
Except for Sammy, a little beanpole.
Sammy's a little beanpole.
Love Sammy.
Yeah, like not like all of our male superheroes or male aligned superheroes are not like, look at my muscles, like look at my abs.
Except for Gabe.
Like, that's true. Gabe has rippling muscles, but that's because he like vigorously works out.
They're not natural. So my inspirations. So when I write these characters, two of the pieces of advice that have been given to me for writing from like a bunch of different people, not a bunch of different people, each had been given by just one person, but I've had a bunch of different writing teachers over the years, and the two pieces of advice that when it comes to writing that I've really kept close to my heart are take notes, look at what other people do, look at why it works, and take notes on it, and go for the jugular, which basically means just if you think it's gonna suck, or if you think it's gonna be too harsh, or if you think it's gonna be too much, go for it anyway. So that's kind of what I've kept with me when I've been writing these characters, which is why a lot of the times Nick is the one who has to tell me to take it down a notch.
That's true. Go for the jugular is not always the best.
When you literally do it, Danny, no.
No, but it's not. You can always tone it down.
That's very true. It's very hard to take things up a notch.
Yeah. So, like,
it's
go for the jugular, and if you end up liking that person, then take them to the hospital.
Nick covers his neck.
Your neck.
So look at a bunch of TV shows and books and movies and see what they did right and how they did it right, why they succeed, what they do and stuff, and I'll think, okay, how can I turn this to my favor, and like how can I look at it in a way that it will help my writing. And also, since this is a political commentary sort of comic, and it does focus around a lot of modern issues, sometimes I'll look at news articles or things that just happen on a regular basis or something, and I'll think, how can we put that into our story? So that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from. Inspiration for writing the characters, I don't know, mostly just word vomit. And then refining, and then refining, and then refining again.
There's so much editing.
So much editing.
It's not even funny.
No.
How long has this all been going on for?
A while. I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do.
Oh, I thought you meant Super Cruise, and I was like, dude.
Yeah, so that's mainly where my inspiration comes from. It's more of a technical aspect, but I am the more technical person of the group. Like, I run all of the social media accounts, I run the Patreon, I manage how much money we have. I'm basically paid for most of this out of pocket, and
That's true. I'm broke as a joke because I'm a freshman in college. So Danny is the one taking care of paying Sylvain.
Yeah, I don't have anyone to pay. I'm the producer.
Yeah. So we kind of dragged Sylvain into this, so she should get something out of it. But I'm glad she's learned to enjoy it after so many beatings.
Yeah. I actually think that we should aim a question at the audience real quick.
Ooh. Sort of like to finish it off.
For the Patreon, what are some sort of things that you guys, i.e. the audience, would like me to do, like art-wise? Because I can do a lot of things.
Stuff for the Patreon. So what do you guys?
Because I want to do special stuff.
We want to get paid.
Also, because like I love you guys.
I love our audience. Like, it's so small,
I want to
but
give you guys stuff.
they're so nice. And they're following us, and that just makes me so happy.
It makes me happy that people actually like what I'm putting out.
Same.
It makes me happy too.
Mhm.
Like, I had never even thought of publishing anything that I've ever written until Danny was like, let's put this on the internet, and I was like, what?
Go for the jugular. But if you like him, bring him to the hospital. We've been going for a while. I'll probably have a lot of content to, like, screw with and stuff. So, is there anything, final words or final things you guys want to talk about? Oh wait, we were going to talk about the stereotypes.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do that.
First of all,
Sorry.
we are
Way too far away
aware
from my computer.
that Mateo is a very stereotypical gay, and Melanie is a very stereotypical lesbian. We are aware of that.
We're very aware.
Mostly
We
because
did that on purpose.
Melanie is a stereotypical lesbian because I'm a stereotypical lesbian. Gabe is a stereotypical gay boy because
You said Gabe, it's actually Mateo.
Mateo is a very stereotypical gay boy because he is. Well, first of all, I think it's cool to have a feminine guy be the leader of a bunch of superheroes. I think that's awesome.
Well, because, okay, I was just about to say, I can't swear. Mateo is still a huge bad blank.
Yeah.
I can't swear. You know what I mean.
So bad, but
So I love that he can still be feminine and also be a really rad superhero.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that.
and there's nothing wrong with
That's true with a lot of our
stereotypical.
characters, though.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of our characters are sort of stereotypes, but at the same time,
There's
they're
nothing
more
wrong
than
with it.
that. There are some really stereotypical gay guys out there.
Yeah. there's nothing wrong
there
with
are
that either.
also
But there's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
being a guy who nobody would think was gay.
right. Like, we have representation of multiple different kinds of trans people on the team because there's infinite numbers of ways to be trans. Like, Gabe is extremely masculine, and he works out a lot, and he prides himself on his masculinity, but at the same time, Hayden, Gabe calls Hayden his little brother sometimes. It's really great. It's the relationship that they have. I absolutely love it. Hayden is, like, small and pastel and is not very masculine. He's still a trans male. Ways to be a trans male. And we take that sort of idea and put it on all the identities. Like, there's more than one way to be this type of person. Like, we have two aromantic characters,
Uh-huh.
and they're very different when it comes to sex lives or their personal relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
We have two sort of, three actually, sort of non-binary characters that use non-traditional, like, instead of he or she, they use they or one of the other non-traditional gender-neutral pronouns. And all three of those characters are extremely different and come from different backgrounds. Their gender is different to them, and how they present themselves to the world is different. And it's just...
Yeah.
I hope I explained that well.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know, I also really like the idea of just the amazing, strong leader of this rebellious teenage group wearing all pink.
And sequins. Oh my gosh. My favorite part is Skylar constantly screaming about how Mateo lost another sequin.
I know. I also like to imagine that Skylar has to She's like, just give me your outfit. And then he gives it to her, and she just has to go and hand sew all the sequins back on. She's like, one day I'm going to make you a different outfit, and you're not going to have any more sequins.
And the tail's
And then it
like,
never happened.
oh no, that's so terrible. Alright, so let's see. We've addressed how we've gotten involved, we've addressed, our writing styles, we addressed the stereotypes, we addressed the issues.
We addressed our favorite character. We addressed our inspirations.
Alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. This is Danny recording the outro because we forgot to do it when we were all together. So, subscribe, check out our comic, leave a comment if you liked, leave a like. And thanks for being here guys. See you next time. Bye.